Hi, and welcome to the Startup Screen Printing Podcast. My name is Jesse. You're listening to episode 3. Today, I want to talk about a temptation when you're getting started with screen printing that I don't want you to fall victim to. And this is something that I held in high regard for myself. I was very careful not to fall into this trap too quickly. Now, I've begun to expand a little bit now, and I'll tell you more about that in a minute. But if you're coming at screen printing with no other garment decoration experience, meaning you don't already have a heat press and you're not doing embroidery already, then my recommendation is that you don't worry about doing those things quite yet. You're going to get people, if you're just doing screen printing and you're just getting started with it and you're not already doing some of those other things, you're going to have customers who ask you if you do embroidery and if you do hats. That was the first thing I got. If you do stickers even, if you do, uniforms, things like that. And while it might be tempting to say yes to people trying to pay you money, don't do it. I think it's better if you become really good at one thing first, and then you expand your offerings years down the road. And sure, those customers are going to go other places for those things. But if your printing is good, if you're doing great work for them and they're getting a great product, then they're going to appreciate that you're focusing on that craft and that you're not expanding your offerings quite yet. And they will just look forward to the time that you do. And they likely will switch over to using you for everything once you do. So I don't want you to think that I think it's a misconception nowadays where a screen printer has to also be an embroiderer and they have to do sublimation and they have to do direct to garment, and DTF is a big thing nowadays. The direct to film is getting really popular. And that you have to do all these things, but you don't. If you just want to do screen printing, and I'm going to encourage you to just do screen printing when you're starting off, that's okay. I only did screen printing up until last year. I bought, I've got my heat press, the Fusion IQ heat press, and then I've got the 360 IQ for hats. And I got those last year. And, they're great, but that means from 2017 to 2022, I ran my business as just screen printing. And I said no to a lot of work because I couldn't do more than screen printing, but I didn't lose a single customer from it. And the people who were with me for screen printing and had to go elsewhere for hats now use me for hats because now I have a hat press and they know the quality that I did with screen printing. But each of those areas has a learning curve and they have things that you have to figure out. And so it's important not to become a jack of all trades in the garment industry right now. Like, what's important is that you learn how to do something really well so that you can sell that, get really good at screen printing and love to do screen printing and practice that craft so that you can sell that and people will pay you for it and appreciate it, and that you can charge a premium for it. So don't be tempted by the money. Don't be tempted by people saying, well, if somebody's willing to pay you for something, you should offer it. I've seen so many print companies do that and they get overwhelmed and it becomes more of a headache, and one part of their business suffers because they're trying to figure out this other one quickly and they're trying to figure out all of them all at the same time. Do one at a time. Let's focus on printing first. Get really good at screen printing first. And if you start off with plastisol, don't go back and forth between plastisol and water base. Do plastisol and get really good at that. And then do water base and get really good at that. And then if you want to get into embroidery, get an embroidery machine and get really good at that. And then get a heat press and get really good at that. But if you don't have any of that stuff and you're coming at this fresh and you're ready to get started in the garment decoration industry and screen printing is the path you want to take, then just offer that. So what's the caveat here? Obviously, if you already do embroidery and you're wanting to expand your offering to screen printing, then that's a different story. You already have embroidery and now you're further down the road and you're adding to your business and add screen printing. That's great. If you already have a heat press and you've been doing, other crafty type things or, individual shirts that you're selling on Etsy. And so you already have the heat press part. That's great. Let's move into screen printing and you can use the heat press as your way to cure shirts. But don't put your offering out there as, yeah, I do sublimation or screen printing or this or that and all the options that are available on vinyl and everything. Pick one or two and stick with that and get really good at that and get a customer base that appreciates the high quality that you provide from there, and then expand your offering. Don't be afraid to say no to something that you aren't sure that you can't deliver a quality product with. And if you're focusing on making one area of your business really great, then do that first and let the people who want to pay for that. And the ones who want to pay for something else, let them go elsewhere, because there will be other opportunities for other customers. So that's my recommendation. That's what I've done in my business. I don't do embroidery. Like I said, I just now last year bought my heat presses, and I don't even really market them as an offering. It's one of those things where if someone asks for it, I've got it. But my business and my service is screen printing. And I've decided to be a company that's really good at screen printing instead of a company that is a one-stop shop. There's value in the one-stop shops, but there's also a lot of disadvantages. So I want to be a shop that's really good at that. So that's what I've done. That's what I'm going to recommend to you. I don't want you to get overwhelmed with all these different garment decoration types. Let's start with screen printing if that's the path you want to take or that's where you're at in your business. And let's get really good at one type of screen printing. And then let's add another type of screen printing. And then let's add another type of garment decoration and grow your business that way so that you get really good at something. And then you can add something else that you can get really good at instead of just being mediocre at a bunch of things until you finally master them in a couple of years. Let's speed the process up for some of these things. So that's my recommendation. That's it for episode 3. Let me know if you have any questions or if you have any tips or advice about how you would recommend getting started, and whether you may have a reason that it is better to offer more options. And I'd love to hear it because you might be right. And so love to hear from you all. And if you're not subscribed to the YouTube channel, please do so. Same thing on Instagram. Please follow and subscribe to the podcast here if you're not already as well. Look forward to bringing you more content, more videos and more live printings very soon. Until then, we'll see you in the next episode and have a great day.